Hey everybody. So I mentioned in some other videos that I had some encounters with some spirits, some ghosts, and I believe that my house was haunted. I'm 100% sure my house was haunted that I grew up living in with my parents in my younger years. I was about 14 at the time, 13, 14. It was 1998 was the year. My parents were looking to get a nicer home. I think my dad got a promotion and they wanted to get out of that area we were living in. So we moved a couple cities over. A nicer home, a little bigger, more space. I had my own bedroom, which was nice considering I had two siblings. That was pretty cool. But being my freshman year, I really didn't, I wasn't that stoked about it. It's kind of tough, especially on me, I felt anyway. But enough with the sap story. I'm gonna get a little emotional. I haven't really brought this up in a while, so I mean, it definitely it it touches me. It's moving. But with my two siblings living there, that's where the first story begins. And with any house, there's creaks, on the floors, the different sounds, new sounds, you're not familiar with, especially from the basement, like a furnace, what have you, just things you're not used to, and that's to be expected. That's pretty typical, I think, to anyone who moves into a new home. But things kind of were strange. Like I would see little shadows in the corner of my eye. I'd look over real quick and there'd be nothing there, and this was something that never happened before that. I'm even getting goosebumps right now talking about this. Something it never happened. I never experienced this before, and I was wondering what's going on. I'd hear strange noises, but I kind of just, my parents would say, "Oh, Joey, that's just the basement. It's the furnace or whatever." They'd always dismiss it. But then there was one night, my brother, actually, he was 20 years old at the time, 6 years older than me. I heard him run up the stairs. It's like 11:30 at night. I'm laying in my bed, kind of staring off at the ceiling. And I thought I heard someone pounding at the door, but it was him running up the stairs. And then I overheard a conversation he had with my parents. He went to my parents' bedroom, and it's only a door down from where mine's at, and from the hallway. And he began to tell them, like, "Hey, I was just in the basement." He's barely able to breathe right, like he was hyperventilating almost. And he's like, "I was in the basement, something, I don't know what, but something like pulled at my covers, and I thought it was the cat." And he went on to explain it, but I laid there and pulled the cover back up, but it happened again, and it just pulled off my body, like all the way down my body. And he flipped out at that point. Oh, I got goosebumps like crazy. He flipped out, and he ended up running, out of the room upstairs. We had a cat, but we had to dismiss that because the cat, it wasn't in the bedroom. The door was shut. He had to, open his bedroom door to get out, and there was no cat in there, at least from what he understood. And just how he explained, like the blanket was just like pulled. At first, like tugged a little bit down, but then the second time it just like right off his body. And that's when he ran upstairs. He didn't sleep in that room for about 3 days. I believe about 3 days passed before he ended up returning to the basement. That was in the basement down there. I remember hearing this, and I was freaked out, because I was always thinking I'm seeing things in the corner of my eye, little shadows and whatnot. But after time, I also kind of like just dismissed it and whatever, who knows what that was about. But it wasn't until about maybe 6 months later that my sister had a much similar experience, and she was, in bed sleeping. She had the room next to mine, on the upstairs floor, and a very similar story. She was laying in bed. It was, getting late, maybe past midnight or going on 1. I can't remember all the details exactly, but as she laid there, the blanket again, that was her cover, This time though, like the cover was slowly pulled up. It was pulled upwards. Like it made its way slowly up. Like she looked down and saw the cover like creeping like towards her, and she stopped, she stopped it. And just that bit right there was enough for her to remember my brother's story. And she ended up, same thing. I think I was asleep at this time, but she went to my parents, and told them what happened. And again, they kind of just dismissed it. Didn't think too much into it. And I heard about it, and I mean, I got a little scared. I think I was going on 15 at this time. But I mean, these spirit things, they started I started watching, a couple movies here and there, was related to them, and it was weird. I didn't know what to make of it, but again, nothing happened to me except for just seeing things in the corner of my eye. And then it had to be about another 6 months, maybe a year even passed. Oh gosh, it was like 2 years later. I think I was 17 or 18. I was 17. It was right before I got my car. 16. I was dating this girl, Crystal. That's right. I was 16. And I just was out with her and a couple friends, one of her girlfriends and one of my friends. And we were out a little late, maybe till like 1 o'clock. And I ended up coming home. I remember I was pretty tired. We went out partying that night or something. Haunted house, that's what we went to. Of all things, go figure. And I ended up laying down, and I mean, I'm 16, I'm 17. I'm not really scared of a haunted house anymore. We went there because the girls had fun. So I lay down in my bed, and this I do remember very vividly. I look over at the clock as I'm laying flat on my back. I look over at the clock, and the clock read 2:22. It was a.m. 2:22 in the morning. I mean, no one was awake. The house was still. My door was shut. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I haven't talked about this in forever. And as I looked at the clock reading 2:22, I looked back, just moving my eyes and, facing the ceiling again. And I began to shut them. I closed my eyes. And as I closed my eyes, it wasn't a moment after. It wasn't a moment after that, and this was so fast. This was so fucking fast. Oh my god. My cover, my blanket, it went. Oh my god, I got goosebumps like crazy. I don't know if you can see these. Besides my freckles, it's not gonna pick up on this light. Oh god, my cover went up my body, and the first thing I thought about was my brother. And as it made its way up my body, it stopped for a second. But then, out of nowhere, it picked up, and it went fast. I mean, I didn't have a second to think. I mean, I was already wondering what the fuck just happened. The cover went up and wrapped around my neck. Oh my god, I can't even fucking say this. The cover went up and wrapped, I'm getting teary-eyed. It wrapped around my neck and pulled me up, like as if I was to sit up in a sitting position. Not that high exactly, but about, I'd say 3 to 4 inches. And it was tightly wrapped around my neck, like someone was fucking choking me. And this lasted, I'd say, for a whole 3 seconds maybe. If I recall correct, I pulled and tugged. I swear there was nothing I could do. Like, this went on. In my mind, it felt like ever. I was losing it. This, out of nowhere, just dropped. I can't remember what caused it, but I remember trying to scream. I know my dad was sleeping on the couch. I mean, this is 2:30 in the morning or whatever. I don't know if he can hear me or whatever, but I swear I was screaming. And then next thing I know, like I said, the cover dropped. I get up. I fucking run. I'm screaming, Dad, Dad. I mean, I'm fucking 16 years old, Dad, oh my God. He ends up coming in. We kind of met at the door, and he's like, what's going on? And he saw the marks around my neck just beat red like red, like this fucking camera, but dark. And I explained to him what happened after I gathered my breath for a while, and I told him like my cover just went up my body and wrapped around my neck and started choking me. He fucking probably thought I was crazy, like I should be committed into some psych ward or something. But no, I mean, this was some serious shit. Not only did it happen to me, it happened to my brother, it happened to my sister. I mean, all three of us. My parents never once, if anything did happen to them, mentioned that, hey, they saw something or whatever. My mom sometimes, I don't know if it was to appease me, and my brother and sister would say, she saw something in the corner of her eye, but I don't know what that was about. And I do know spirits like to cling on to children, or like the younger, adolescents, the youth for some reason. That's where they like to go. That's where they like to linger, or who they try to like get in touch with or contact or whatever, for whatever reason. I'm not sure. But that one reached out to me, and little did I know, but after the fact, all this happened, my mom told me that the woman who lived in the house before us, she passed away. And that's why the house was up for sale and why we ended up getting it, because the gentleman was downsizing. That just, I almost shit a brick at that point. I mean, what? So now I'm thinking all types of crazy shit. Like, oh my God, was this lady murdered or something? Like, was she strangled? Like, did someone choke her to death? Did the husband kill her? I mean, I don't even know, but I mean, you could imagine what's running through my head after I heard this. I even started looking up things like on the internet, trying to find her name. Oh, it was crazy. The last name was McKinney. For the love of me, I can't remember her name right now. If it comes to me, I'll definitely say it. I'm getting freaked out again. So anyway, time went on again. I'm 18 at this point, 18, 19, I'd say. And I'm in the basement with one of my girlfriends, and this is during the day. I mean, it's like, geez, what was it? Maybe 12 noon, 1 o'clock. And as we're sitting there, I'm at my computer in the basement now. My bedroom has moved to the basement. My brother's moved out. He's gone. 24 years old, 22 years old at this time, 24 years old, doing his own thing. And as I'm sitting in the basement with her on my lap, I had this large blow-up Pepsi bottle. The old colors, like it was blue and red, back from the early 2000s, whatever. They changed the colors now. But it was really cool. Anyway, I use it as a floaty device. But my cat was eating something. Had to shoo it. As we're sitting there, we hear like a loud like, what the fuck? We both look over, and I had a lamp. Don't ask why, but I had a lamp. It wasn't plugged in, but it was sitting on top of the big blow-up Pepsi thing. I mean, the thing was huge. It was like maybe 2.5, 3 feet across by like 4 feet high maybe. So this lamp just fell off of it, and this lamp was sitting on that Pepsi bottle. Oh God, it had to be a good 3-4 months. And I got it from actually doing community service, hence the name Bad Boy. I was a punk back then. But I got it from doing community service at a church, of all things. So I kind of thought that was strange. But yeah, it just fell to the ground and smashed. And I mean, we both were like, what the fuck just happened? Like kind of jumped up and looked at each other like, I don't know. And we ended up leaving the house that day. Anyway, told my parents about it and everything. How do you explain that? There is no explanation for that. I mean, it just fell out of nowhere. And it's not like we were just walking by and it happened. No, we were sitting. We were chilling, Anyway, I'll get on to the next story. I mean, that was fucked up, though. Oh, I can still remember that shit to this day. So, here's another one. I kind of took little side notes just to refresh my memory. There's not many notes here. I'll show you guys real quick. It's not like I have a Bible written here, but it's just kind of covering some things. Oh, these are cool cards. Not even time to go over them, though. So, let me think. This was with Sue, the lamp, Amanda. Oh, God. I was about 21 years old. And my girlfriend, Amanda, at the time, she ended up coming over after work. It was a weekday. I was still living at my parents' house. Yeah, go figure, magic guy living at his parents' house. What the heck are the odds? The stereotypes, oh my. But she came over. It was like between 9 and 11 o'clock when she got out of her shift. She was a waitress. Anyway, she came over, came downstairs, and we're laying on my bed. And, just doing what a couple does, young couple, start kissing a little bit, making out. And to keep it 100, I ended up slowly, like, making my way down to her chest area. And as I did that, I felt like her body, like, tense up or, like, freeze. Mind you, I'm on top of her. She's laying on her back. Her body like froze and her eyes just lit up. Like I looked up from that point on when I felt like this change in her. It was almost like a rejection or something. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I look up at her and her eyes just bug-eyed, staring. Like almost, like I can't remember if it was glossy or what, but I know her skin turned pale. It turned pale fucking white. Like some shit I've never seen before. I look back really fast because I'm looking at I wanted to see what the fuck she was looking at. This is all within a few seconds. I quickly look back, and in the corner of my eye, like I'd say maybe about this much. Like if this was the doorway, my screen was the doorway, I could see about this much of a figure just go like this in the doorway. Like for a split second, just like this. That was it, and it was gone. It looked like a white gown, I guess, and it just flowed by. Maybe 5'6", 5'7", as to how she described it as well. She said she saw the entire fucking thing. She saw what she would describe after she caught her breath and was flipping the fuck out. She described it basically as an older woman, like elder. And oh my god, my eyes are watering. This was fucking the most scariest thing, especially when we both saw it. Like we're not fucking crazy, like we were not fucking nuts at this point. I knew like I was sane when she saw what I saw. But she said she saw a woman in a flowing like gown, basically just like this. And as it passed, the woman looked in at her. And she said her eyes there was darkness there. There was nothing you could see. Just darkness in her eyes. And this woman just passed right by, turned her head, looked in, and continued going. Holy fucking shit. That was seriously fucking nuts. I lost my fucking mind. I seriously lost my mind. We ran upstairs and we ran right upstairs. Like I said, it was about 10:30ish, and I tell my parents like, "Oh my god, Mom, are you just downstairs?" No, me and your father have been sitting up here like they're watching TV. My mom's under a blanket or some shit. My dad's sitting there in the recliner. I think he was sleeping or taking a nap. Mom, seriously, like, were you downstairs just now? No, Joey, no. Okay, and then I went to explain to her what happened. Fucking craziest shit like ever in my life. I'll never forget those experiences. There's a few other stories that I'd love to share with you guys. I just don't have time for it right now. It is getting late at my house, and I'm starting to get the fucking chills and the creeps right now. But I'll be glad to share those maybe down the road in a month or so. Oh man, okay. I gotta fucking walk up the stairs now. Oh, I hate walking up the stairs, especially late at night. And you just feel like there's something, like there's a presence behind you or someone with you or looking at you. You could just feel it. Oh my god, that is the craziest shit ever. Alright guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. I love you. Peace. Love.